Originally from Colombia, now based in Australia, Katherine Gailer's creative practice incorporates mural painting, oil painting, illustration, design, and music. Her creative expression explores the complex relationship between fragility and strength, vulnerability and empowerment, and celebrates resilience, liberation, and the urgent need to restore the invisible fabric that weaves together humans and nature.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Conscious Creator Series brought to you by New Earth Arising. I'm Kattimoni.
And I'm Exodus.
And our mission is to uplift and empower you to liberate your creative potential.
Master your mindset, raise your vibration, and bring your visions to life.
This is for the visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, yeah, movers and shakers, heart-centered, change makers, visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, yeah, movers and shakers, heart-centered, change makers.
So welcome, Katherine. So great to have you with us here on New Earth Arising on the Conscious Creator Series. Welcome. So good to connect.
Yes, hello guys, thank you so much for inviting me. It is a pleasure always to connect with creatives around the world, and so nice to connect with you again, Kattimoni, after so many years here in Melbourne, seeing you singing and doing all your beautiful work.
Yes, sister. So you're such a multifaceted, a multi-dimensional artist. You express yourself in so many different ways, and I love the spirit that you bring to your artistry. And I'm wondering can you tell us a little bit about what have been some of the most foundational aspects that have shaped you in your journey, in your identity as an artist, and have led you to be doing the work that you're doing today?
Sure. Well, I guess I can tell you a bit about my story. My journey really started the creative exploration through painting. That was one of the elements in my life that have always been present since I was really young. It seemed like quite a humble material to work with, and patient, and it's a material that teaches you as well so much of your personality and where you can go. So I mean, I guess out of instinct, that was what I felt drawn to when I was really young. So I began painting everywhere, with oils, with acrylics, with watercolors, since I was, I don't know, maybe 10, 12. And then when I started growing older, I started asking for more information about it. And that's kind of how I really entered the world of art, was through painting initially. Although in Colombia, I grew up always surrounded by music. My dad is a big music lover, and lots of the traditions in gathering with community in Colombia have to do with listening to music and celebrating through singing and drums. And so this is something that was already kind of part of my environment. But I guess at the time I didn't consider it to be necessarily what I was going to be doing. And so I continued my journey as an artist. I decided to pursue it as a career. So I ended up doing a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And then when I graduated, I just started exploring even more, and ended up working more with graphic design as well, illustration. And then at some point, all of these overlapping practices started to happen, where I started to put myself out there more in music, combined with mural work, working more in the public space, the work started making more sense in my life once I started working with more people and collaborating more and bringing in the practice to more of a community driven place. And yes, I think it's a lot. I've got a lot of stages of what happened. So I guess in a way of like trying to summarize a lot of things is this journey of the individual artist to kind of develop and start finding out what are your strengths and how you want to communicate to the world. And then there's that other part of you where you really connect to kind of like the collective or the realm in which your art starts taking action. And I think that's the part where I really like opened up and started finding a purpose, like a truth of what I wanted to do with this expression. And that's where I found so much power in public art, for instance, in transforming a space with a mural that uplifted the community around this space, or even including people in the process of owning this public space. And on the side, doing music, it's such a cool combination, because at the end of the day, when you're performing as a musician, you end up really sharing that energy in the space, and it is it already happens in the moment with music. You're already like creating a shift when you are performing. So that also influenced me in visual art. I was like, how can you translate this experience that you have in music that is so immediate or efficient with people, to visual art that sometimes wants to stay so still and stagnant, and how can we move it to more of an action based?
Nice.
I don't know, those are a lot of thoughts that I'm throwing at you, but I guess that's where I'm at. I'm still super passionate about my practice, and at the moment I am dedicating myself a lot to mural work and my project Amaru Tribe.
Awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of different mediums, that you tap into, from graphic design, illustration, mural work. You mentioned you did a BA in fine arts. So seeing that you've touched in so many different areas in your development as an artist, and also doing murals, I know you have to travel, go into different communities, different neighborhoods, meet with different cultures, different people. How would you say going to these various places have impacted on your work and also your life as an artist?
I think that part where you really start going out of your comfort zone to not only share, but to listen to what the context you're on, what are the needs of the context that you're going to be working on, how does that affect what you're going to deliver. And I think that mainly to me has been quite enriching. It's been sometimes can be challenging because you do have to negotiate your ideas, but because you are open to incorporate the needs and ideas and thoughts of another group of people, especially as you said, people that come from another cultural background, you end up really learning how to listen. I think that's a good learning curve for me. Like I've learned how to listen through traveling to develop work that it's not about me, it's about the place and how my culture and creative expression can respectfully interact with the culture and the settings where I am painting or where I am doing music or collaborations. Fortunately, I have had really, really beautiful experiences. Usually I'm always connected with someone that is doing work locally, maybe a local artist, local leaders. That's another thing that I've learned. Like if you're going to a place where you're not that familiar with and you're just getting to know it, the best way is to always connect with community leaders and ask the questions you need to ask to be, I guess, again, respectful towards their I guess, yeah, their everything. And then take the time to do the engagement beforehand.
Yeah, I'm an artist as well. I was looking at your profile, and I think, you have some really nice pieces, nice murals and stuff. So in your process, growing up as an artist, what context you would say you're trying to push in your work?
I think like what concepts, or what were the driving elements? Content. It has changed over time, I must say. Like, it has evolved. Definitely, it has always had an element of exploring women empowerment. That has been a real driving force since I was really young. It still is, and I think it still is. Yeah, I like the representation of strong women, of women discovering themselves, of really being able to express an identity that it's new, because we really are at the moment reconstructing that identity that has been lost and repressed. And I'm very interested in that. I'm interested in the mysteries of it. I'm interested in women not dimming their light. I think that's another journey that has inspired me to paint, but also to express myself. So at the beginning, say, I was painting it a lot, and expressing it a lot in the image. And then over time, it kind of like, I think it went into my mouth, and I really like absorbed it. And then I think it happened to me that I was like, you know what? I am not gonna dim my light anymore to make anyone feel comfortable. And I'm not gonna limit my work to this label and to do this little box because that makes someone else feels comfortable or fits the boxes, the ticked boxes that have been in art forever. So I think that same content that we're talking about, I really absorbed it and understood it over time as I grew older. And I think that's where the practice exploded to other practices, where I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to express myself. And maybe this is not going to be my best piece, but this is my truth. This is what I need to do right now. And I allowed myself to do that. So that content of exploring women liberation liberated me. So I'm very grateful for that. And another connecting element that has always been present, I think, also through the content of women and female spirituality, has been how do we connect to our natural environment, and obviously these conflicted views of, growing up in an urban area such as Bogota, combined with a lot of nature that is around Bogota, and then I'm moving to another city where, again, you're surrounded by concrete jungle, but still so drawn to the mother, right? To the roots, to the earth, and how can we reconcile that? And I think my work has a lot of that. How do we reconcile all of these contradictions that we have? That's another, and I think that's quite latent for me at the moment. The reconciliation between natural environment and our like constructor environment. Those two are really strong lines that I see my work continues. Even though I might go out, I always come back to them. And it seems that when I come back to them, this helps me to come back to me somehow, to center myself. Somehow. And then it varies. A lot of cultural heritage is in my interest. That's when working with other people has always been really interesting, to incorporate other cultural I guess, histories and meaning, and women from other cultures representing diverse women in art has been inspiring to me, because I when I was growing up, you struggle to see women of like mixed races or even Latinas like me, women of color being represented in the big, in the big art, I guess, industry. So for someone like us to be able to bring that in, bring all of that flavor in, it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying to say, you know what, I think this time we should paint another type of woman, and not the similar woman we're seeing in all the ads and stuff. So in mural work, that's pretty cool, because it's like, I think we're gonna paint something different now.
I love that. I love the way that you really draw in those themes. Those themes are so present in your work, and I love what you're saying around it's almost like you become the work. And I feel that, like, even with my own artistry, even with singing, I feel like it's like art is, and it initiates us, into next levels of us, and it shows us new parts of us, and helps us kind of like, become. Like, I feel like almost like what I sing, I become, and I'm curious to like explore what that feels like for you in your experience of like that magic, of our creativity to be able to create us.
Yeah, that's good. I like the way you put it in words. And I actually just talked about it here with you guys. I haven't thought about it in that specific way in words before, but yes, definitely the work starts molding you, and it starts also constructing the environment around you and the people that you start collaborating with. This is why I'm like, give the money to the artists. We have so many problems. Like, just give the money to the artists. They'll do something good in their community. I like something that I see that is quite interesting here in Melbourne, because I'm so involved in the mural work, and people really doing community driven projects, is like, artists are the ones that are open to do the groundwork, like doing the groundwork with young people, doing the groundwork in a way that it's inviting, and that it's fun and constructive.
Making it comfortable for the community.
Exactly. Artists are the ones that have the openness and all these tools to make the groundwork. So at the moment, I'm like, I just want to, lately I talk to, because there's so much tension, so much political tension at the moment. We're living a world that is very complex, and people are trying to find solutions, so many solutions. And I'm like, and then you sometimes get stuck in trying to find a solution, where I'm finding a lot more, I find it healthier to take small actions. I find it healthier to get involved in a project where I'm taking action. If it's with 5 people, that's great. If it's with more, awesome, But that's the groundwork, that's really where it starts. And again, what I realize is that the people that are open to do this groundwork are the artists.
That actually leads me to this question. What are your intentions in terms of selling your art or making money from art? What are your intentions behind that? Because, we often hear artists complaining about, as you said, we do the groundwork, we are in the communities trying to make the environment comfortable for us to live in, So what are your intentions behind selling art and making money from art? Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. Look, I think that's a really interesting point to always talk with artists and women, like especially female artists. Like, women have been taught all their life not to talk about money, and like not to want like money and earn well in their careers and stuff, and that's a big no anymore. It's like, you know what, it's okay to be successful. It's okay to like value what you do as an artist. Being an artist it's a profession no different than any other to me. You know, we do we serve the community in a way that other industries serve as well. So in my view, the more artists and cultural leaders are incorporated into a system that recognizes this service, the more it will grow and uplift, you know. So I'm constantly thinking, first, yes, I want to value my work in a way that I can live from this and earn money from this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I just want to do the one thing where I just want to sit down and paint and sell the painting and make it just for myself.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of finding the spaces in which your strengths play well with the community you're surrounded with. But then again, making your art commercial is not a bad thing either. You know, I think if this is something that is a way to sustain your practice, I think it's also really valid. So my point of view,
not to break you or anything, but I'm an artist here on the island, and I struggle. It's a struggle for us as artists here on the island to really make a substantial living from practicing art, you know, from selling paintings. And I mean, yeah, there's a particular type of artwork that would sell, and then there's a particular type of artwork that you're very passionate about as an individual. You know,
exactly.
you know, your content, your context, the way how you perceive the environment, you know, how you want to put out that to the world may not sell, you know. So
Exactly.
that's why, yeah.
I think there's it's tough because there's not a formula to follow in here. In my experience, I think there is always the work, the art that is really personal, and it's a very intimate space you have with yourself, and I think that's a very important space. But I also think there is the art that interacts with a context that responds to something that people are I guess passionate or engaged with in a moment of in a specific time, place, and context that is agitating or moving something in them. So I think as a practitioner, as a creative, you can choose to do really intimate and personal work, which to me is really beautiful, and that's great. And you can also choose to step into the place where you're like really listening. What is happening? What is agitating people? What is engaging people? And then that might nurture your practice, and the response might be different. In terms of money, I don't know if that's gonna create financial, represent any financial growth or not. It depends on how you want to approach it and what the context is. But I guess one thing that I do believe we have to work on as a creative community, it's creating even more spaces like in the institutionalized art world, to have roles of artists creating projects with community, so that it's a service you provide to the community. And that obviously builds on other skills of artists, but I think there is so much that art can offer that it's not there yet, that if we encourage more funding and more financial support in art in the social spectrum, there's a lot more artists could tap into and could work on. Maybe it means you're not going to be just painting in your studio for yourself, but it means you might be out there doing projects with more people that will nurture you in the community and end up nurturing your practice. So I think we need a circle, like
Yeah, absolutely. That investment in art and valuing. And I love what you're saying about finance and being multifaceted in the way that you create and make money. And I feel like it is really connected to our sense of value, like valuing ourselves as creators and valuing the work that we do. And that's something that we touch on a lot in our course as well. It's like, I'm wondering if you could, just speak to this notion of valuing yourself as an artist, and also like valuing the role of an artist within a community as well.
I think it's really gathering a bit of bits and pieces of what we've talked about. The value of the artistry in my life has to do, I think, with that idea that it has really ended up nurturing me as who I am. But also at a personal level, I just read this beautiful quote, or like little story of a grandma talking to her granddaughter. And one of the things that she said was that to heal all the wounds and to heal the pain in the body and in the mind, she said, use your hands. Doesn't matter what you do. Use your hands to paint, use your hands to write, use your hands to play an instrument, but use your hands to plant, to whatever, but use your hands to heal and to grow, because the mind plays tricks on you. She said, the grandma said that to the granddaughter. And that really resonated with me, because yes, the mind plays tricks, while the action of creating nurtures you in a way that is really healthy. And then that's what I think, that's the root of it. It's there is something offered by the action of creating that is not offered at a rational, working machine level. I think that
like
beyond the glue. There is something that the creating, the using the hands brings us back in touch with something that is healing to all of us. And I know, Kath, you've done a lot of work with groups of women and groups of people. You've been a coach and a leader for ages, and I'm sure you can relate to that experience of, yes, you feel that when you do it by yourself, because you enter into that meditative state where you appreciate that making with your hands and your voice, of course, and everything that is creative about you. But when it's shared, and when a group of people are in the action of creating, there is a bond that happens, and a magic that happens that doesn't need words. It doesn't need many words. It simply happens. And that's where we're like, there is an opening for reconciliation there. There's an opening for connection there. There's an opening for healing there, for mental health, for blah, blah. So these are the things that I'm realizing. There are openings for things that are really hard to solve with words or with, in other actions. So I think that's, to me, the big value. So I'm seeing it as I'm seeing it as the main tool to work with in the days that we are facing.
You just articulated that so well, and I just love the way that you really captured the value that community arts and community artists bring, because there is something like a spirit that we share, that we hear, we get to listen, we get to feel, we get to connect, we get to build bridges and engage and create connections within the community that is beyond it's beyond the rational level.
It's beyond that rational. I mean, do you remember something that us, not just to talk about as an artist, because I also love enjoying other people's art, and that's where I also feel the power of art in us. And I remember a few years ago in Melbourne, all the spoken word community really had a big spotlight, and there were all of these new kind of collectives like Mother Tongue and Sisters for Sisters, and all of this was happening. You were involved as well, dancing and singing. I think that those were the first times where I saw you, and I saw Ida, and I saw Felicie. And I remember I was saying to my friends, we just need to go here on Friday, because the level of empowerment in this space is unreal. and they were like, what is this all about? I was like, let's go. And you know what it was? It was one woman standing in front of you, throwing her words at you in a beautiful way, and in a way that just created something for me. You know, it created. I was like, the level of vulnerability and confidence of this woman is shifting the rest of the room. That's no, you know, and I was like, this is it, you know. This is it. And this is just an example of spoken word, but that's what happens in the different spaces in which a creative can offer all these experiences, this level of vulnerability and but mixed with strength and confidence and also recognizing their own weakness and their fractures of life being healed. Yeah, I think that's the part that really inspires me.
Yeah, I feel that, like, as an artist, just that that ability and that power that we have to be able to create an energetic transmission in the room. It's like, I know, like, it's like when you step on stage, it's like music, for example, it transcends the mind. It's like people are feeling what you're feeling, you know, the energy, the emotion, like the passion that you're bringing into that energy exchange that happens with the audience. It's like you're setting a frequency in that room, and you're changing. Like, that's how we're making change. And I imagine, you know, the same experience with painting too. Is like people are receiving those downloads. They're receiving the energy. They're receiving all of the love and the time that you've poured into that image and bringing that vision alive.
Yeah. Sorry, you go.
Oh, well, yeah. So now that we're on energies and frequencies and stuff, would you say you have any types of like rituals that you engage in before you know, start to paint or start to sing, start to perform?
That's an interesting question. Yes and no. Sometimes I just don't have time and I just need to roll with it, which is something I have to get better at. I'm constantly really busy, running a lot, and I think it's important to stop and take some time. I'm working on it. But if I do have the time, I do practice. I've practiced yoga for a few years now, and doing some breathing exercises before I go on stage. It's always really, really useful to create that energy around me of calmness and grounding myself, so that's what I am embodying when I enter the stage. And that's something that I didn't learn because I'm wise. No, I learned it because I stepped into many music stages in which I felt very uncomfortable, very vulnerable, in moments where I double guessed myself. I was a lot younger, you know, so stepping into a world that is not an easy one, which is the performing world. And I learned that it comes back to the same thing. It comes back to that idea of gathering this energy and knowing that you're enough, that what you do is what you can offer, and the best you can do is offering that moment, that bit of yourself that has been able to ground, and the imperfection, you know, offer that imperfection as well. So I think that previous moment where you do the little ritual of meditating, sometimes I sing a lot with my partner, with Oscar. Sometimes we grab our hands and do some exercises together and say, whatever happens out there, it's okay. Because when we give ourselves, we allow ourselves that space for mistakes, we're like, it's okay to sometimes fuck it up on stage. It's okay to pick yourself up on stage, you know. But because before I didn't have that confidence and I didn't have that space to give myself permission to explore while grounded on stage, I was all over the place, but I had to learn it as I with experience on it. Doesn't mean I do it perfect all the time, no way. But the little ritual helps to ground all of those energies.
Yeah.
And to painting for me, it's the ritual. That's the ritual is painting.
It is the ritual.
Yeah, the ritual is the brush stroke, is the honoring, is the, you know, like the fact that you and I dedicate hours to painting one person is honoring that person, is honoring or the flower or whatever you are painting. To me is honoring that, because you are investing your time and your energy and your vision to that. And it's such a different practice, eh? Like music and visual art are two worlds that tend to be quite separate. At some point they come together, but they have quite different outcomes.
Now that you said the word time, not before you go a little too far, how does time play a part in the production of your work, both musically and visually?
Yes.
Because time is, is very, important. Time is now is all we have. So how does that play a part? Yeah.
Big. Well, I had to. That's one thing that it's tough. Like, because I have these two practices that I love. I've been trying to learn how to set aside like periods of time to dedicate to visual art projects that are big and need like full-time attention. So say I do that 3 months, and then I'm trying to dedicate the following 3 months to say, now we're, for instance, recording a new album with my project. So now I'm going to dedicate a few months to that, and on the side do some mural projects, but nothing that requires like the full-time attention, because otherwise you burn out. But that's in the sense of like the practical time, but that also has led me to organize myself very well, although I'm still learning, I don't know, sometimes it becomes a mess and I end up really tired. That's just what happens. But I guess I need to get better at that. But in the other sense of time, I've painted a lot with oil painting in my life, which tends to be quite archaic these days, or weird, because it takes so much time. Yeah. But I still love them. I haven't been able to paint as much oils as I wanted to, but I love them because they really slow you down. You have to slow down. The paint won't dry even if you want it to dry. It will take 3 days to dry. So that it makes you wait. So I always say, sometimes when I've taught people some oils, because I've done some workshops and stuff, I said, oils, you don't own oil painting. The paint owns you. You are there to like serve the painting, to spread the paint, to facilitate it. But this is a medium that really teaches you, and that's something that I love from the relationship with time and painting. Yes, we're in a world where everything's rushed. Even mural work, they want you to do it fast in 3 days. How fast can you do it, Katherine? And I'm like, yeah, I can do it quite fast because it's acrylic. I wish I had more time, but sometimes it's not possible when you work with people. But in the studio, when I can do oil painting, I'm like, this is where time becomes the teacher, So yes, paint more with oils.
Nice. So something I'm wondering, I work with a lot of creators. So a lot of the coaching that I do is around like helping people overcome like their mental or emotional blockages around their creativity or around what they're sharing, like around putting themselves out there in the world. And I'm wondering, what have you found have been your major challenges as an artist, as a creator? And yeah, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's just emerging as an artist, who's wanting to put themselves out there in the world more?
I think there's two things. The first thing I'd say is it's not an easy road like any other industry, I guess, but this one is not an easy one. It is challenging, so don't get discouraged by a no. You're gonna get many no's. Don't get discouraged by having to mix up jobs to sustain yourself and do your art. I do that. I still do that. I still take graphic design work jobs that I honestly don't want to do, but sometimes I do them because this will allow me to do other things that I want to do with my art. And it's fine to sometimes like step into other spaces to work that will teach you as well how to sustain your practice. So don't be frustrated by the fact that sometimes you have to mix your life up. We live in a world where that's essentially what sometimes you need to do to achieve things, hey? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is like, take it step by step. Like I remember I had, when I was a bit younger, I did projects where in my mind I was like, this is like the project. I'm gonna launch this and it's gonna be amazing. My masterpiece. And then you do it and you realize it's one more project. And these are like great lessons, you know, like when I finished a project and I was 23, I was like, oh, but you know, it wasn't like that. And yeah, of course it wasn't going to be any like of these like crazy ideas that I had in my mind of what it was going to be. It was a step into what I had to learn. And by the way, that's just how it's going to be. You're going to work on a project. And this is how I think about it now that I think I've grown up a little bit more as a creative. I work towards a project, I execute it, I deliver it, and I'm like, oh, that was great. Now let's see where else we're going. I'm not thinking like, oh, this is gonna be the project. I'm gonna launch this, and after this, I'm gonna be famous and everything's gonna change. No, I'm thinking now like, this is one project, and then I'm gonna do another project and another project and another, and I'm gonna learn from this project what I have to learn. And so don't get into this mind loop of wanting all of these results of success and specific expectations of a project, because that just dims the light of the project. You know, just let the project live, enjoy it, and then deliver it and closure. Leave it. Go to your next thing. Don't stay there, because a lot of the time these projects also are a failure. What are you gonna do with that? You know, you have to be open for it to be a failure. You know, it can be a failure, and it's gonna be, again, it's not gonna be the failure of your life, and that is going to be one project in which you learn that whatever you did not work, so just don't do it on the next one. Yeah. So I think that's one of the main things that I've learned that give me a lot of peace. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's okay. Maybe I'll try this and that. Maybe it won't be as successful. Maybe it will be cool. Maybe not, but let's give it a go. And then whatever happened is cool. And we close that and go to the next one.
Yeah, it's so important what you're saying. It's so important to like the sustainability of our practice too, and that like resilience as creators, because I definitely resonate with what you said. I've done that a lot in the past, and I hear that a lot with a lot of the like creators I'm working with. It's like putting all of our energy in one thing.
All this energy is fun.
And it's so meaningful and important to us, but it's like so important for us to like have that mindset of just growth and constant evolution and constant expansion, and to just like
it's part of the process.
And doesn't mean you don't want to make it special. Like, don't get me wrong, of course, make it as special as you want, you know, share it with your loved ones. But sometimes what is so special for you at a personal level, where you think you're going to explode the world with it, that in the realm of the universe, of the globe, it's not what's happening. You are not like fire that is going to explode a bomb. You are just doing a project within all these people, and that project needs to be executed and delivered. So that's where it comes more as a professional practice. That's where it's like that learning curve of, I guess, in your course you do with them, and it's like the dream of the egocentric artist that is like the fame and all of this, and this is the project, towards I'm a professional, a creative professional that is able to develop, create, execute, and deliver a project. Yeah, as a professional. not as the artist, it's about me, look at me. No, it's about deliver, execute, deliver, and then learn and continue to share that experience in the next project. That's the way I'm seeing it. Maybe I'm being too cold about it. I don't know. Everybody can deal with it whatever they want. I'm a bit more passionate and get enrolled in my spinning, in my personal work, in my paintings, where only I decide what's gonna go on this painting, and maybe I share it with my sister and my husband. But maybe to the rest of the world, that piece that I did won't explode anything, you know, because that's really personal. So it's not gonna explode a bomb on your life, you know. So that expectation that you're gonna explode a bomb on someone else's life with the album or the exhibition that you put out, it's not really realistic. And that's where all these frustrations come. Yeah, you can contribute and make a little shift, but it's not gonna be a bomb, you know?
Yeah, no, I love what you're saying there. And I love what you said about failure too, like just being part of that process, because it's like, art is alive, you know, art, it's like constantly evolving, it's constantly expanding and growing and changing. And sometimes when we fail, or when we think we're failing, it's just that next stepping stone, you know, towards our next creation, or it's like part of the development towards something even better. And we don't know it at the time, but you know, we criticize, we judge, and it's like, yeah, it's really important to just see failure as like part of that process towards something even better.
And I think that touches on something of being consistent and doing you know, as well. Like, don't just look on the side and try what worked for someone else. It's not going to work with you, because you have another skill set in your hands. Work with your strength and look to collaborate with somebody that is strong in your weakness. You know, that's how it works. That's how it rolls. You cannot do it all well, and there's other people you can work with. That's a great way of expanding your practice. And then the other thing, like nowadays, is just really easy to create new projects and new labels and new brands, do a logo, open an Instagram, try and do a new business, and you know, the entrepreneurship is awesome, but it's also like in the superficial world, it's just really available and easy to do. But it doesn't work for many people, because they don't realize it takes all this time that we're talking about. It takes all this consistency. It takes all of these projects that you executed, you delivered, you failed, and sometimes you succeeded, you know? So that's, I think, another thing that I've learned is like, yes, I've had many ideas. Yeah, I'll do this and I'll do this brand and blah, blah, but then I sit there and I think, am I really going to dedicate all of this time and projects to that brand so that it grows? And the successful brands, you see, they are completely engaged. There is someone behind it that has an awesome skill set that continues to engage, and deliver, because they are completely into it, you know? So this era of like creating easily a website and all of these profiles can be quite confusing as well, because it's not just creating a nice logo and a website. Is you doing all of this groundwork of growing and failing and delivering and refining all of these skills.
Yeah, because as creators, we are so multifaceted in the things that we have to do as entrepreneurs to sustain that, you know. It's like, it's not just the creative skills that are important for us to cultivate, but it's like the planning, the structure, the organization, the building the brand and the marketing and all these other aspects too, where we're pouring our energy into. So yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, I think as a creative, just my perspective, and also being an entrepreneur as well, you know, the journey of having to create, and as you said, you may encounter failure sometimes. Sometimes you may see success. You know, that roller coaster ride of an entrepreneur and a creator, I think, really helps build the brand into something that is very unique out there in the space. You know, when somebody can look at your brand and see that organic, you know, growth, rather than, you know, you as an entrepreneur having a huge backing, and you got this nice website. Everything looks nice and pretty, So where you could see that growth, is always good as an artist. Yeah, that development. Yeah.
But Katherine, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so incredible just connecting and
thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate also what the work you're doing with New Earth Arising. I think this type of initiatives, projects that are dedicated to the growth of creatives are super necessary. And as we were talking, we're looking for so many solutions at the moment, and I think there's a lot of answers in this type of project. So I hope it just keeps growing for you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Beauty. And so before you go, what's coming up for you with your projects with Amaru Tribe and your artistry, and where can people connect with you?
I also see you have a thing called the Nina Project. I don't know if you can tell us a bit about that.
I've got you can connect with me through social media. I'm on social media as Katira. I call myself Katira in my art. Katira, Katira, and then .art, or just the handle is Katherine_Gailer_art. I also have a website, katherinegailer.com. And as projects, I've got my music project called Amaru Tribe. If you want to have a listen, it's on Spotify and iTunes and some other platforms. So we also have social media. We do mix between like electronic and traditional music from Latin America, a bit of hip hop, bit of spoken word. It's really a weird mix, but have a look and see if you like it. And then I also developed in the past a platform called La Niña Project, which basically promotes women and female practitioners in art. If you want to connect with me, please send me a message. And the other question you did is what's coming up. At the moment, I am going to be recording some music for Amaru Tribe. We're going to be launching a video clip soon, an animated video clip in June. So I will send you that so that you guys can also enjoy it. And I have some mural projects coming up. I'll be basically painting in the street and developing stuff with Amaru Tribe.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Conscious Creatives.
Yeah, you can follow New Earth Arising on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And check out our website, neweartharising.com, to learn more about our coaching programs and our merchandise.
Yeah, it's your boy Exodus.
And your girl Kattimoni.
Keep rising, keep shining. Yo, peace.
This is for the visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, movers and shakers, hearts and